This is Dave Palumbo with NPC Super Heavyweight freak Gary Turner in the Iron Asylum. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
We haven't done this training series in such a long time, and I said, you know what? I was talking about, improvements in terms of how to improve your physique, and I think a lot of the people have forgotten about how important training was. And you've really improved your physique over the last couple of years. You placed fifth in the super heavyweight class at the NPC USA Championships this past year, and you finally kind of established yourself as a guy to look out for. You're one of the biggest super heavyweights on the stage there, and your back is really good, and you've made improvements to your back. So I think this is a great training video. We got footage of you training your back in all the different exercises you do, and we're going to kind of go through it so you can kind of help people who are watching this make the improvements that you did.
Definitely, yep.
Now, when you go to a gym setting and you say to yourself, hey, you know what? Today's back day. This is a body part that I need to make bigger. How did you basically design your strategy or your approach to training back to make the improvements that you did?
Well, I think the biggest jump that I've ever made in terms of training overall, but also back, was I switched to a progressive overload type of like training style rather than, I used to be a volume guy. So it was like a lot of just like pump work, and it was like to me it was like pussy training that I was doing rather than right now I carry a log book. I have a target top set or top 2 working sets that I'm going for, that I'm trying to execute a higher amount of weight or a higher amount of repetitions with. So performance is a huge basis in terms of what I'm going for in the gym, rather than aimlessly going, all right, let's do 3 sets of 12, and for this and that. So the fact that I have, goals in the gym rather than just getting a good workout, quote unquote, really changed everything around, but especially for back for me.
What's the key to bent over rows? I see you doing the bent over rows there, and a lot of people do different form. I know you're doing it on the Smith machine. Why do you do it on the Smith, and what are you trying to? I see you kind of hunched over a little bit. Where are you targeting that the pull from?
Well, to answer your first question, I was doing the free weight barbell rows in the block right before this, and the way I do it is if I fail on my top sets 2 weeks in a row, so if I go backwards in progression, the movement's got to get pulled out. I just felt that my reps were going down, and that phase lasted about probably 2 months, where I had to switch out the exercise, and I thought that going to the Smith machine would still be a good way to do the row, but I could start progressing from there. I'm bent over. This is basically an upper back movement for me. It's an overall back movement. This is my power exercise because it's incorporating everything, but it's mainly an upper back compared to, say, a lat exercise. And really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drive my elbows up and back to get it past my trunk. Yeah. So that's
why are you looking down? A lot of guys keep their head up. A lot of people arch their back and keep their head up. Why do you look downwards?
I'm trying to keep my spine neutral in that. So that's why if I were to look into the mirror that's in front of me, it would basically arch my back. And I feel that way, it kind of shifts it almost to the lower back a little bit. And I'm going just on feel on that. But I do keep my head down, and I'm really just trying to drive everything back without putting too much momentum, at least in the initial reps. This is one of those exercises where it allows for some cheat reps at the end that you can, move the weight up, with that way.
And how heavy will you go on the Smith machine?
Right now I'm doing 3 plates. So it's not really 315, but it's I write it in my book as 3 plates per side. That's where my 2 top sets are.
Right. And when you pull, do you pull to feel your lower lats, or do you pull more for trap and upper, type of lat?
In this one, more of the upper back. Is where I'm.
Will you vary it though?
That, rather than like usually not on this exercise. There are exercises that we have coming through later in the video that will hit that. Okay. So this one is mainly of overall mass and more target towards the upper back.
Right. So now you're doing, this is like almost like a one-arm row you're doing, only using it on a machine, and you're in like a one-arm bent over row position though.
Yes. So this one's going to be a lat exercise. So what I'm focusing on here is I'm driving my elbow almost to my pocket. So I'm not driving it straight back, where again, that would probably be more rhomboid based. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to drive that elbow straight, almost down. And the reason why I'm bracing myself against that pad and my chest isn't on it, if I were to do that, that would have changed the whole resistance profile of the motion, and it wouldn't hit the lats. So basically, where the contraction is when I'm braced like that is all the way down into the shortened position when my elbow's near my pocket. Right. And that's what I'm mainly focused on, rather than overextending it all the way to the end.
So you took a machine basically and you repurposed it essentially for what you want to target.
Yep. And if anybody's ever tried this, they'll know that like this like ignites your like lower lat.
Right. I've never seen anyone do this. I'm going to try it actually in the gym myself because I think it's pretty cool, and how many sets are you routinely doing per exercise at this point?
Okay, so I only count my top sets or my working sets. So like that barbell row, that was 2 working sets. I warm up, there might be like 3 before that, but they're warm up sets. And then once I'm warm, then I might do a feeler set of 2 to 3 reps, which is closer to the weight that I'm going to be doing the top set. So with this one, I think there was 3 feeler sets of like 4 reps each. Those don't do anything. They don't cause any kind of fatigue. It's just my body getting used to feeling that weight. And then I go for the top set that I've, written down from the week prior. I know what reps I did on that. And then I got to try to make that, beat that for this week.
Now, when you look at your back in the mirror and trying to analyze, what you need to do, what do you think you need to work on at this point? Because you have an enormous back, obviously. It's one of your better body parts now. Where do you think you need improvement?
I think that you could always use a little bit more lower lats to hang off a little bit more mid-back for me. I know I'm wearing a tank top in there, but it needs a little bit more thickness in the middle back. Honestly, my back's probably the weakest from the front poses, like a front lat spread and a front double. The lats don't quite hang out as much as my rear poses. Right. So that's always been more of a cause for concern for me.
What were you sniffing? Is that like smelling salts?
Yeah, that was an ammonia for the top set. So kind of amped myself up a little bit with that.
Gotcha. Now, when you train your back, some people I know, will do like pose their back. Do you ever do that? I mean, I know this video is just kind of clipped up. Do you hit lat shots, lat spreads, front, back double bicep poses while you're doing it? Do you believe in that?
Yes, and later in this workout, I do hit some poses. I hit a bunch of poses, but I will hit some back poses. I think it brings some blood in there. Anything that doesn't fatigue it too much, while I'm not training. But it does help the connection with the muscles, because that's the name of the game out here. That's why some people have some weaker body parts. They just don't connect, naturally with them as well as other body parts.
Now, I noticed you're using like a Versa Grippa type strap to pull with. You always use them for all back exercises?
Yeah, for the most part, I like to use the grip with them because I don't want my grip to fail. I do train forearms, of course, on a bicep day, which is another day, where I'll do forearm work, hammer curls, wrist curls and stuff like that. So I'm not really concerned so much with the forearm training in this one, so I use the straps.
No, I agree with you. I think when I used to train back, everything was with straps because I don't want to use anything other than my back, and so it's the grip or your forearms will always give out way before your back will. Now, what's this exercise for? Is this more of an isolation?
Okay. This is actually a traditional lat pull down. I know that the traditional way is that we'll do with the bar and then you pull it down. And in reality, that kind of hits more your teres, which is in the rhomboid section. If you notice the arm path that this goes in, I'm again driving my elbow down towards my pocket, and my arm's kind of staying in front of my body a little bit. Right. This is going to hit a different segment of your lat. And this is when I write this in my book, I actually write one arm cable lat pull down. So this is what the real way that I'm really targeting the lat in terms of what everybody thought they were targeting in a lat pull down. I do the traditional pull down, but again, I'm training my teres for more width in that segment rather than the lower lat hanging off like this one's intended to.
Right, and you really can't go too heavy on these too because it's almost impossible. You just don't, the weight doesn't move if you don't, because you can't cheat on these,
Right.
When you have
and you want to make sure
down together, you can almost lean back and you can swing a little bit. There's really no cheating on this movement.
You can arch your back. You can manipulate it like that.
Right. Now, what's the machine you're using? I saw the handle. I didn't get to read it quick enough.
The handle is one of my it's one of my companies that sponsor me. It's called Angles 90. It's basically just fits in your hand. And it's it feels good for certain kind of movements like this. You could also manipulate like a barbell row in terms of like you could do like a landmine row. If you ever see people do one arm with the barbell, you can manipulate the resistance profile because it's an actual cord there that's not holding you in one place.
Right. Now you wouldn't start your workout with this, would you? Or this is like more of a finishing movement?
No. Right. Yeah. No, I don't really want to, because I want to make sure that I have maximum output on those two hammer strength and the barbell row. I want to make sure that I'm not gassed out for that.
Right. Do you believe in doing deadlifts too on back day, or do you do them on a different day?
I don't like to do them on back day because I find it more of a glute and hamstring exercise because of the hip hinge. So I do them on leg day. So I do them when I'm hitting my glute and hamstring section.
Yeah, everyone has, I throughout my career, I kind of randomly change that around. Sometimes I would do them on back day, sometimes I would do them on leg day, and just to kind of break up the monotony of it. But at this stage, the size that you are right now, do you feel that your training has changed, evolved from when you first started out?
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, everything's performance based. It's all thought out. I do the same exercises week in and week out until they're exhausted and they're not doing anything for me. Whereas in my younger years, it was just aimlessly running around, supersetting stuff, going for a pump. I was like a pinball in the gym. There was no rhyme or reason. Yeah. And it's and I probably missed out on a ton of growth in my younger years. It was just, I guess there's like less resources available compared to training nowadays. So I've seen a big jump in my size, and everybody's like, dude, what did you do? Because everybody thinks it's like a drug increase, and it really wasn't. It was a training increase. I've always been able to diet well, and that was never an issue for me. It was always, the training was just haphazard, and now it's not. So
I think what year was it that I filmed you? I think you had just really started out. Was it in Apollo Gym, right?
That was in 2011, and then we did Bev's in 2012, where I was a week out of the Atlantic States.
Right. Wow. And what did you weigh there compared to now?
Back then, I was a very, very fat 250 in the first one, and then I was a week out when you filmed me at Bev, and that was about 210 then.
Wow, what a change! And what do you weigh now?
I was about 262 this morning, and a lot leaner than I once was at that 250 in 2011.
Absolutely. And Gary used to have this blonde head of hair too back in the day, right?
Yep. It all fell out. Eventually, by 2017, I was like, I got to get rid of it. It's bald head time.
People used to compare you to Jay Cutler. You looked like Jay Cutler when you were younger.
Yep. That was. I still get it for some reason. Even with the bald head, they say you look like a bald-headed Jay Cutler. Like, all right, well, I said, I guess.
I don't think so anymore. You did look a lot like him back then, tremendously. So, what's the goal now?
He was my favorite bodybuilder. He was my favorite bodybuilder back then.
Yeah. Let's talk about. So you were on stage last year at the USA. What'd you weigh?
I was 237 on stage at the USA last year.
And obviously, just for people who don't know, I do Gary's diet. What do you? So I know the answer to these questions. What are you gonna? What are we planning to weigh this year at the USA? What would you consider a good improvement for you?
You know what? not even going by the weight because I was, although I was very shredded, there was still a little bit more that we probably could do in terms of getting the glutes and the backside even more shredded. So if the weight came out the same, but I was marginally more like lean, especially in the glute area, it could be, that's a win right there. It doesn't have to be like, I've been in the game a long time. Putting 10 pounds of muscle on stage probably is not going to happen.
No. No, you don't need it. You need about 3 to 4. Now, the funny thing is also that a lot of people don't realize, is that, Gary when I first started working with Gary, he was well over 300 pounds, and you got really, really fat one off season. Like, you were huge. You were very big, but you were very fat, and it made it very difficult to get you down to weight for the show, even though you dieted for a very long time. And we never allowed your body to do that again. And I think that really made some quality changes in you that like are almost unbelievable. If you were giving advice to people out there, and they wanted to know, hey, it's a good idea to bulk up in the off season, what would your advice be to them?
It's funny. My stance, of course, now is that I say don't do that, and you should stay, relatively lean. And I know that even after I make that comment, there's going to be people that message me and say, yeah, but those big off seasons are the reason that you carry this mass. I said, I don't necessarily agree with that. I said, because Dave, if you remember, I was like 308 when we started working together, and we made the heavyweights, and I wasn't conditioned anywhere.
I know. Gary looked like King Kong Bundy when I saw the first pictures. I was like, I didn't even recognize you, to be honest with you, when you first sent the pictures to me. I didn't think you were the same Gary Turner. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot to do. People don't realize is that it's not X amount of weight that you'll lose in a contest prep. Like, I'm only 260 right now. Even last year when I was conditioned, we started at 273, and it was a lot worse than it was how hard I am right now. So the amount of weight we'll probably lose going into this season's prep is a lot less. It might not be that much of a difference in poundage. So, it is what people don't realize that.
Gary, for you to know, Gary grows probably more easily than any person I've ever seen. You could literally, if I wanted him to be 300 like in 2 weeks, he probably could gain 40 pounds in 2 weeks if he wanted to. It would be a terrible amount of weight gain, but you could do it. So you don't have a problem gaining. It's getting the solid gains without the fat and water that comes with it. And I think that's, every person is a little different, and you have to kind of figure out who you are and what your physique is like. And then basically cater your program to that. And that's what we did. We said, hey, you know what? It doesn't serve you to go up to 300 pounds if you're going to be a fat, bloated mess, because it's just too much work to get you down. So we've been slowly adding the weight, and I think that's the magic formula for you.
Yeah, people don't realize it's also a fat distribution issue with a lot of people. Like for me, it all goes into my lower back, hands, and glutes, but my quads will be lean. Well, that doesn't help you when you're trying to get your glutes lean.
Yeah. Well, Gary,
everything's going to fall away if you diet that off.
Absolutely. I just want to thank you, Gary, for stopping by today and showing us your back workout. I hope a lot of people got some ideas. And really the take-home message here is you have to kind of figure out what you need to do improvement-wise and then execute it. I'm sure Gary's training when he first started was a lot of free weight stuff. Now he's doing a lot more targeted exercises. But I think the mainstay through all your training is that you lift heavy. And that's why you have heavy, thick, dense muscle.
Yeah, it's all about progressing.
Well, yeah, but my point is that, even though you're targeting and doing targeted type training, you're still lifting heavy. You never abandon your roots, and that's why you carry a lot of mass.
Yep. I think that's one thing that's lost from just what I'm seeing in the gym from a lot of people is that a lot of guys run into these pump workouts, and then it's they're missing the meat and potatoes of a lot of the training.
All right, well, that's going to take us to the end of another In the Iron Asylum. I'm Dave Palumbo with Gary Turner. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.